They'll go down then as the talks that could have been the first direct discussions between Russia and Ukraine since the start of the war. Could have been an opportunity for Vladimir Putin to demonstrate that he does indeed want an end to the conflict. And perhaps most importantly, could have been a concrete sign of hope for the millions suffering under the weight of a now more than 3-year-long war, which has left hundreds of thousands dead or wounded. But ultimately, the Russian president has decided not to attend negotiations again that he himself called for. Ukraine and its allies have called Putin's bluff again and again. For more on this, Dr. Nikolay Petrov joins us on the program. He's a visiting fellow with the Eastern Europe and Eurasia Research Division at the German Institute for International and Security Affairs. Thank you very much for joining us this evening, Dr. Petrov. So, Volodymyr Zelensky, yet again left in the dust. He increasingly looks like the only one who's willing to make a real effort at achieving peace, at least, if nothing else, attending negotiations. What do you think that Putin's objective is then in offering peace talks that he's not even attending?
I think we should look at the triangle where there is the United States, Russia, the Kremlin, and Zelensky together with Western coalition. And in my view, it's pretty clear that American administration is interested to go out from this war. And if it's possible to reach any kind of truce, any kind of peace, but not to invest a lot of efforts. Putin did declare his goals many times, and it's understandable. It's not about Ukrainian territories. It's about Russia's role and the global and European architecture. And Zelensky and his team are not interested in any kind of strategic goal, because Ukraine now is in a very bad position to negotiate on conditions which are acceptable for Ukrainian leadership. And that's why it's understandable that the approach of those three sides is different. Putin, I think, is interested in getting any kind of agreement, but a kind of capitulation of Ukraine on his conditions. Ukraine cannot accept these conditions, and President Trump can invest some efforts for a while, and then he will wash his hands.
Yeah, I just want to be clear, Dr. Petrov. You said earlier that this, from Russia's perspective, is not about Ukrainian territory, but about the global security architecture. I presume that you mean by that Ukraine getting closer to the West, talks about it joining NATO. If it's not about Ukrainian territory for Vladimir Putin, then why not just simply propose, I will stop this war if Ukraine agrees to not join NATO or the European Union?
Well, it's somehow what has been reached 3 years ago in Istanbul during these talks. Not only it was about neutral status for Ukraine, but it was about certain limits for Ukrainian army and something else. And Putin now declares that he would like to continue these negotiations. That's why what has been explained by President Zelensky as very low status of Russian delegation is the same delegation, almost the same, as it used to be 3 years ago, when certain agreement has been reached. There were some points where both Russian and Ukrainian sides didn't agree, and Putin's point is that it should be continued.
In this sense, sir, what effect do you think that the actions of Ukraine's Western allies have had on this war? Have they efficiently dissuaded Vladimir Putin from going further, or do you think that they have inadvertently made the situation worse, notably by sending money and weapons to Ukraine, by threatening more sanctions, by proposing European peaceholders, which we know is unacceptable from the perspective of the Kremlin? How do you think concretely their actions have contributed to what we see happening now?
I would see more declarations than actions, and it's understandable that the West, especially in the absence of the United States, which will somehow leave this equation, is not capable even to keep the level of support Ukraine had during these 3 plus years of the war. And we've seen mere declarations. And I would not take seriously these declarations because they cannot be supported either by money or by real weapons. And that's why I am saying that Western leaders, those who did visit Kyiv recently, instead of supporting Ukraine in real life, offered their declarations, which somehow can help to keep the vision that Ukraine can continue this war for long, but which does not change the situation on the ground.
As a final question for you, sir, you suggested earlier that you think that there are signs that the White House is simply losing interest in what's happened or is taking a back seat in any case in terms of mediation efforts. Do you think that that is the result of indifference about what's happening, or do you think it's also the result of perhaps more ideological proximity between the Trump administration and Vladimir Putin than the two have at least said publicly?
I would not exclude certain ideological proximity, and both do think that they do represent great powers, and those great powers can agree on different geostrategic issues, not only regarding Ukraine and European security, but everywhere else, in the Middle East, for example, in Arctic. And Ukraine does not occupy any important position in strategic plans of new American administration. And this is exactly what we see. So we should take it seriously that the United States will not invest any additional serious efforts to continue the war and will go out.
Dr. Nikolay Petrov, thank you so very much for coming on the show this evening.
My pleasure.